One of my favorite horror films I've seen thus far was The Ring. The first one. The other two were only okay. Anyway, I'm sure most of you have seen the movie, or at least know about it, so I don't really need to break it down. However, if you're in the minority who haven't seen it yet, here's a quick synopsis. The movie essentially just boils down to a cursed videotape. As set by the movie, if you watch this cursed videotape, then you have 7 days to die. Throw in some spooky ghost stuff with this little psychic ghost girl Samara, and you've got one of the best horror films to come out of this century. I'll leave it at that. I really don't want to go too deep into the film. Just go watch it yourself, and besides, it's a pretty good movie. And I'm not here to cover the film, but rather the legend that may have inspired it. I'm of course referring to the urban legend of the cursed videotape. Years ago, there were a group of 3 girls who went to high school together. Their names were Mari, Bridget, and Sam. The girls were best friends in every sense of the word. They would spend their time doing homework, hanging out at each other's houses, would spend the summer and winter together, and in short, they were inseparable. One day, July 17th, 1985, if memory serves right, the girls decided to host a sleepover party to celebrate Sam's birthday. They spent all day planning the sleepover, and one of the activities that was brought up was movies. They knew they wanted to rent a horror movie because they were all big fans of the genre. And they ended up spending a good 23 minutes trying to decide which one to watch, but to no avail. Ultimately, they decided to just head down to a nearby video rental store and see what they had in stock. They piled into their car and headed over. As luck would have it, the store was closed, which forced the girls to drive around town for half an hour looking for a video store that was open. After some time, the girls found a small shop at the side of a big street on the outskirts of town. There, the girls ran into the same problem as before. They couldn't decide what film to watch. Once they bickered for a while, they walked over to the clerk and asked her if she had any suggestions. The woman gave them a weird smirk and told them that she had just the thing for them. She then scurried into the back room, and the girls were left waiting on their own. It was while they were waiting that Mari noticed a videotape lying on the top of the counter. Unanimously agreed upon to be the most curious of the 3 girls, Mari went forward with her curiosity. She picked up the tape and took note of the fact that it did not have a box cover, nor a label. Just as she did, the woman came rushing back out of the back room and smacked the tape out of Mari's hand. Again, she gave them an eerie smirk, and with the tape in hand, she said, "That's not something you girls should be watching." Curious, they proceeded to ask her what it was. She simply told them not to touch it, and when she was further questioned, she added that it was nothing more than a home movie. She then handed them the case for an old horror movie, and kept insisting they would enjoy it a lot better. They then agreed to rent the tape the clerk suggested. She went to the back room once more to find the videotape for the movie. While she was back there, Mari snagged the film and hid it in her purse. Later that night, Mari convinced the other 2 girls to watch the tape with her, and then the trio began to put the tape in the VHS and pressed play. Strangely, the power to the entire house went out the moment she hit play. Even stranger, the television remained on. The girls sat there in the cold, dark room for a few seconds, with nothing to comfort them but the crackle of static. Suddenly, the video began to play. The screen displayed the image of a woman tied to a wooden stake. She was surrounded by angry men and women carrying torches and yelling, screaming and spitting at the poor girl. One of the women in the crowd shouted, "Burn the witch!" and the rest of the crowd followed. One by one, they all began to chant, "Burn the witch! Burn the witch!" The man, who seemed to be leading the charge, lit the wood beneath her feet ablaze with his torch. As the flames began to consume her, she chanted. She said those who witness her death will suffer the same fate as her within 48 hours. Then, there was a screech from the static on the television. The tape then started to skip around and cut off not long after. They all convinced themselves that the tape was nothing more than a prank. They then consented that they should return the tape immediately. They all got back into the car and drove back to the store where they got it, all while shaken up because of what they just saw. However, when they arrived, where the store should be, they found nothing but an empty parking lot and an abandoned building. They were understandably confused, but unable to do nothing more. They just went home. Skip forward 2 days, and all the girls were discovered dead. Bridget was found dead, floating in her swimming pool. Her body burned beyond belief, beyond recognition. Sam was found in the middle of a park, but only her charred remains were found. Mari's body was found inside a furnace, almost completely reduced to ash. As police investigated the deaths, they thought that it was very strange that all 3 girls burned to death at the same time. In each case, police simply assumed it was a case of spontaneous combustion, but nothing more could really be done to prove that claim. As for the tape, it was never found again. As urban legends go, this one is a tad on the generic side. I mean, really, it is just an urban legend about a curse, and that has been done to death. That being said, I do enjoy a good witch/cult story, and this is definitely one of the better urban legends out there. As for whether or not it is real, it's pretty obviously fake here. Can I definitely prove that? No, I can't. But when you really think about it, this legend does have some pretty glaring tells that make it lean more on the fake side of things. One of the biggest, plot holes really, is that the woman in the store isn't dead. If you follow the legend's logic, then the clerk should be dead. She had to have watched the tape in order to know what it was. She even told the girls that you shouldn't see that, and smirked when she did it, no less. Either way, the legend was at the very least somewhat unnerving. It seems to be quite the influence too, given the fact that its resemblance to the ring is fairly obvious. Although, it isn't actually among the confirmed legends that inspired the film, so who really knows? Unfortunately, it is time to end this video here. If you have any suggestions for any videos you'd like to see, let me know. But before this video actually ends, let me leave you with this little factoid. Did you know spontaneous combustion is actually a thing, and people actually have died from it? However, spontaneous human combustion is extremely rare, and only fewer than 150 cases of spontaneous human combustion have ever been recorded in the last 2,000 years.